I think a good week of training so far. Kind of getting recovery after the game in Charlotte, traveling back, and kind of getting everybody refocused and focused on Salt Lake. I think Salt Lake being a Western Conference team, it's not a team that you, I think maybe we're overly familiar with in terms of just being kind of in two separate conferences, but I think they're a team that we are taking very seriously. The first thing is Pablo's a tremendous coach, and he's a coach that gets the most out of his players. The team is always going to be competitive, always going to play with intensity. I think that's a hallmark of kind of the teams that he coaches, but that's only part of we look at it as only part of the story. It's a team, I think, attacking-wise, has shown a lot of variability, really dynamic on the ball, great attacking players. So something that we're going to have to be really focused on defensively. And then defensively, they play with intensity, they play pressing, soccer. So it's a team that we're going to have to be, really prepared for with the ball. So again, I think it's going to be an exciting night in Geodis, something that we're excited to get back in front of the fans. But I know the game's going to have, it's going to be two really good teams going toe to toe. I think end to end.
Thanks, Coach. We'll start in the room. Start with Ben. We'll just go down the line. Go out with two if you have them, and then if you're on Zoom and you have a question, reminder to use the hand raise function. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, BJ, just looking back at the last two games, you guys obviously started really well, especially in Charlotte. I think Gaston on the field said he thinks it was maybe the best half you played yet this year. How do you kind of evaluate those games in light of the results? And what are your thoughts about trying to put that together into a full 90-minute performance?
Yeah, I would agree with Gaston. I thought it was a really good first half. I thought a lot of the things that we wanted to do were, looked like us, and we were able to execute. I think as we always evaluate, we try to take the positives and continue to build. We learn from some of the areas that we need to improve. And I think the biggest takeaway, even from this game and the game before, is that we're moving in the right direction. There's a lot of positives to take, but at the end, we need to turn it into results, here and there. And that comes with just being able to be more consistent with what we want to do, whether we're with a lead, without the lead, tie game. We want to be more consistent. And the biggest takeaway from that game and the game before is, continuing to build pressure. When we don't have the ball, continuing to build pressure, and then when we do have the ball, recognizing what has changed in the game and where's the new opportunities.
And then obviously I want to ask you about Walker. Have you guys? I'm assuming you've got more info on what happened over the last week, but how's he doing? And then, very secondarily to that, what is his timeline for getting back on the field?
Yeah, so actually we ended up with a pretty long flight delay coming out of Charlotte, which I thought was, of course, you don't want that, but there was an opportunity for Walker to get treated. He was able to fly home with the team, which was great to get him back with the group. And he's basically currently progressing himself through concussion protocol. And they had all the steps, he's sort of progressing through. And, it's a day-by-day sequence, that we're following. And so I think, we'll make that evaluation when we have to on Friday when we announce the group. But that's because we're just trying to do it through the protocol and do it step by step as safely as possible.
BJ, piggybacking on Ben's question about Walker, I just asked Gaston as well about, even though we're talking here about professional athletes, professional coaches trying to perform, how much of event like that affects the mind of a player, a coach, when you're trying to win a game, like it happened in Charlotte?
Yeah, we are players. We are coaches, but we're also humans, and we have relationships with players, and these guys are friends with each other, and so there's always going to be a reaction. We have to be open to that. Like, it's not something that is a normal occurrence, but at the same time, I think we're also professionals that we try to respond to it, and so for us, it's I thought. It's certainly something that we talk about, how we want to respond to it, how we bond together as a team, not only, and kind of continue to go forward with it. But, when that moment happens, yeah, there is a reset, right? You can't act like it didn't happen, and none of us are. We don't pretend to be superhuman. We are humans. We have feelings. We have emotions, and we just have to, sort of be able to process that and then try to move forward with it.
So going back to the game this Saturday, I'm not sure you did have Diego Luna under you when you were in the national team. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Diego Luna decided that this is the best start of any season that he's had. He's just playing well. It's awesome. Something maybe you wouldn't like. You would not having wait for another season or something else. What's your opinion on the moment he's having with this team, even though it's collectively a great team?
Yeah, collectively, he embodies, I think, what you see the team embodies. This is a player who has tremendous confidence. Is a young player, but is a player that wants the ball, which I think is which is a really great compliment. He wants the ball. He's moving around. He goes everywhere. He's producing. He's setting up teammates. He's scoring goals. So yeah, it's been a really as a fan of soccer, like, to watch his development has been great, and a lot of that's been self-driven. I think he's taken a lot of feedback from different people. And implemented implemented improved areas of his game, and you're starting to see that next step where he's becoming a really consistent, impactful player for Salt Lake. But at the same time, there's a couple other good players on that team as well. So we have a healthy respect for Diego. We have a healthy respect for the whole group.
Yeah. BJ, if Walker is unable to go Saturday, I guess how does that change your defensive setup or approach, if it does at all? And I guess how do you try to make up for his impact?
Yeah, we have a next man up mentality here, and everybody trains, and we're part of a bigger system. So I think for us, it's just about getting the next man up, making the getting the connections and the cohesiveness to be the same, and I don't even mean the next man up that has to step up and play the position. I mean, in general, like, Walker brings great leadership to the group, so people are going to have to bear that, have to take on that responsibility, and that's, and it doesn't mean one person does. We just have to take it and share it amongst that 20 that gets named for the match, and continue to push forward.
And over your last both your last two losses have come down to the final 10 minutes or so of the game. You've given up 3 goals in that span after the 85th minute. I guess, what do you feel needs to be emphasized to be drilled into the team in those late game situations where you're playing with the lead?
Yeah, I think it goes to the earlier thing. I think we just have to continue to be committed to building pressure on the ball. Like you see how sometimes the goal that we give up on the penalty is it's a free ball that goes into our penalty box. So it's just about making sure that we're building more pressure and staying consistent. We don't want to be the team that just drops and hangs on. We want to always be continuing to get out, create chances, and also the other thing is scoring more goals. That would it's not from a lack of opportunities in those games. Even in the last 10 minutes, we have chances to score goals. So that's how we I think how we think about those last 10-15 minutes is not only do we want to get pressure and deny the team the ability to get into our penalty box, but I think it's also, can we exploit the aggressiveness of a team trying to chase a game and score more goals.
BJ, you guys this year have been playing a really pressing system. A lot of I guess fitness is required, and a lot of physicality is required. Do you think that has played any part in terms of these maybe losses or losses that could have been draws or wins? Do you think kind of towards the end there's some sort of physicality or a fitness question that the group is dealing with at the moment?
No, I mean the way these guys train, the numbers that they put in each week, the numbers that they put in the game, I think it's more just about us being more as a group committed and focused to how we want to close the games out. I think the guys that come off the bench have been doing a really good job with that, and that's not an area that I think we have a big concern at the moment.
And I know you don't mind shapes, and you can look at different sort of formations. The principles are kind of the most important thing. You've said that to us. Have you considered other sort of ways to set up the team in this first period of the season, I guess?
Yeah, I think as we sort of look at every opponent, and not only do we look at every opponent, but look at sort of how the game might unfold through there. Yeah, I think we're certainly always continuing to evaluate, how we're setting the team up with the idea of still having the same philosophy.
We'll go to John Glennon on Zoom.
You guys have gotten a lot of offensive contributions this year from your defenders. I think Daniel Lovitz talked a little bit after the last game about how he's maybe playing with a little bit more freedom than he had before. Wondering kind of what you attribute the more offensive contributions from the defense, and if that was a special emphasis going into this season at all.
I mean, I think over an overarching idea that we have here is everyone attacks and everybody defends, and yeah, we want to be a team that is able to play in the opponent's half. To play in the opponent's half, I think you have to get more numbers forward to sort of do that. And so, overall, our intention is to try and get those numbers forward and make the field as compact as possible in the attacking half. And I think currently that's some guys are probably being beneficiaries of that, and that's a credit to them to have that bravery and to have that intensity and commitment to get themselves into goal scoring and goal playmaking situations. But yeah, I would say we're intentional with how we want to get numbers forward and the structure of how we want to play in the attacking half of the field.
And maybe just to follow on that, in particular, Daniel, I wonder, do you see him playing a little bit differently than even last season in terms of pushing forward a bit?
I mean, yeah, I think Dan has gotten comfortable into where the passes that he can make, and the impact that he can do. So I think he's shown the ability to play balls behind the back line. When you talk about the ball that he plays to Ahmed in the Philly game, he's able to get himself into good crossing positions. I think that's something that we stress here is we're not anti-crossing the ball, but we want to make sure that they're from high percentage areas where we can we can get the ball effectively into good areas in the penalty box. And I think Dan has done a good job of doing that. And as a result, you start to get rewarded, and at the other end, there's some guys that are finishing on the other end of his services.
Training week have been good. We have got back to our grounded principles of the game, and come back with a good intensity for the whole week. So we are ready for the game.
Great, thank you. We'll start with Ben and go down the line again, and like before, if you have two, go ahead.
Ahmed, talking to Gaston out on the field, he just mentioned how he thought the first half in Charlotte was maybe your best first half of the season just as a team. I'm curious how you feel that you guys have played with the ball, and maybe how you guys can kind of keep that level up to close games out.
Yeah, no, I agree with Gaston. The first half against Charlotte was the best first half we have done so far with the ball. Without the ball, I think they didn't have so many chances at all first half. The way we penetrate them the whole way. So no, I agree. But it's football. Second half, you see it's go fast the other way. So the hard thing is to keep it up for 90 minutes. And I think we have got a good solution this week with the coach, with the team. We'll talk through about it, and I think hopefully this week we go for 90 minutes.
And then BJ has talked about just how he wants the front line to all be able to interchange positionally, and how as long as guys are in the spots he wants them to, he doesn't really care who fills those spots. How is that to play in for you, just being able to kind of interchange with guys like Sam and Hani and kind of have a little bit more freedom?
Yes, for me it's perfect. Sometimes I go deep, sometimes I can go and pick the ball on feet, and I think it's a good thing. It's going to be a chemistry thing about me, Hani on the right side, Sam and Alex on the other side. So it's a good thing. We're going to help each other, and it's a way for us to not be static in the game. So it's a good thing as long as everybody is on the right place at the right moment.
Ahmed, for a guy like is new in the league like you are, every game you get to meet a new team, a new rival. How does that affect your preparation mentally? I mean, you know, you never played against Real Salt Lake before. So how do you prepare, besides what you do physically with the team, yourself against a new rival?
I think I go back with the principle of our game, our Nashville game. I don't care so much about the opponent. Actually, I don't know so much about like the other league teams. Now I have met a few teams. Now I will remember for next year maybe. But this is also, you know, a good question, because for me, I've never met the team I will meet in the future now. And for me, it's a safety to always to go about Nashville principles, about our game, how we should go for the game. And then in the meetings with the coach, I take in all information about Salt Lake.
Now, as we get to know you as a player, of course, you're new for us as well, and the fans. You do know how you play and how high you can get. If you were to give us early in the season a percentage of how far up you think you've reached so far, where would you set yourself?
I always go for where I am today. I think I'm a good place now in my career, but I want to develop, and I know I have high tops, and if I can keep the high tops for like a period of all games we have, I think I'm gonna reach a good level. But my mind is always on the next game and always on the next performance. But I know what I can create for everybody around me, and hopefully score goals.
Ahmed, you know, on that note, I guess, what do you feel are maybe the next kind of steps or improvements you need to take to, you know, reach that level that you want to reach ultimately?
It's a thing about to maybe become a more in a rhythm with the team. Like sometimes I get out of a rhythm of the game, and for me it's to keep it up for 90 minutes. I want to create chances for the whole game. I know I create like 1 or 2 chances every game, but I want to create much more. So that's my aim, to help my teammates to score, and for my own sake to score also.
BJ, when he came in here before you, he mentioned how, you know, over the last 2 games, you know, you've lost games from a winning position, and you know, how much has he emphasized, you know, just being able to create chances for 90 minutes, like you talked about, just over the last week or so, and you know, being able to, you know, go on the backs of, you know, strong first halves.
I think if you watch the games yourselves, I think you can see we create chances. It's not about we don't create. We create very good chances actually, and it's a matter of to score them or maybe to create more. But I think you can't. You need to see it in the long term. I think over all the games, if we do it every game, we're gonna eventually win games. It's like that. But also we need to think about the other side. We can't have a good strong first half and then second half we don't play, or we just let them have their chances. We need to stop their chances also. It's a big thing for us right now, because we create chances. It's about the other way also.
Ahmed, when we talked to you the first time, maybe after the first or second game of the season, you said MLS is a good league for forwards. What have you found out on the pitch in the last 2 months or so you've been here? Has there been any surprises playing in MLS on the pitch? Anything that caught your eye?
I think I think the teams here don't need so many chances to create something. Like against Charlotte, it was like maybe 1 chance, and then they have scored already from nowhere. So I think it's the focus about to have in this league, every team is good. It's not like you don't know where you have them. You know, you think you have them, okay, they don't have a chance, and then they just come and they score. So it's the most surprising thing about this league is every team have almost the same level, except maybe 1 or 2 teams that have a high level. But I don't know. I have just played a few games, but that's my thoughts about it.
And then off the pitch, you've been in Nashville for a couple months now, and I asked Eddie this last week. how is life in America? How are you adapting to living in Nashville?
I swear I love it. I love it. I was on call with my friends. I said, hey, you need to come over. I think you will like it. Yeah, it's everyone is so happy and everyone is so kind and I like it. It's not like I like Sweden, of course, but it's another environment here. You should be glad to be here in America, actually.
Have you been to Walmart? Eddie really loves Walmart.
Yeah, always Walmart and Target. I think it's gone everywhere. So yeah, I've been.
Perfect. We'll go to John on Zoom.
Ahmed, wondering if you've been impressed by your team's ability to get offensive contributions from the defense, and if that's something that's necessary, for the team's success.
Have you been impressed by the contributions from the defenders to the offense, and has that been a part of the team's success? It's like Dan's assists, Walker's assists, goals, Josh's goals.
It's very, very important for us. Like the way our defense help us to attack is about football. It's a clear thing. They should do it, but also how good they are to do it. It's not many teams that have a good crosser, fullbacks that come with attack, and the rest defense with our center backs that let us, every time we lose the ball, they give us back, and it's a top defense.